Warriors take the stand. From shore to shore, we reclaim the land.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Jersey Shore Podcast. That's S-U-R-E because we are always sure. Brought to you by the great America's Pulse Network and First Amendment Live Studios. I'm your host, Damon Galdo, as always, and we have a pretty good show ahead of you. Now, this show in particular, I labeled it Politics Aside because I had planned to sit down with a great guest, Joseph Lombardi. He's the founder and manager of Iron Hawk Financial, to talk about his journey, his mission, and how he's helping everyday Americans build a better future. And we're still going to get there in a moment. But first, I need to speak directly what's unfolding in our country, because ignoring it will be a betrayal of truth and the values that we all share. So let's roll this first clip.
Today, Governor Gavin Newsom accused President Trump of attempting to manufacture a crisis by mobilizing the National Guard, adding he's hoping for chaos so he can justify more crackdowns, more fear, more control. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, defended the move to NBC's Jacob Soboroff and says about 150 undocumented immigrants have been detained in the last few days.
But not just to protect the law enforcement, to protect the general public. If Democratic leaders want to turn their back on public safety, they can.
Tonight, tensions reaching a boiling point as more troops hit the ground.
Guys, so to my monologue here, this is a tough one for me. The reason I say that is it's not hard to talk about these things, but it's a disappointment too. What we're witnessing right now in Los Angeles and now New York and now my original hometown of Philadelphia and other Democrat-run cities is not a protest. It's not about free speech. It's not about justice. It's an anti-American riot, plain and simple. These mobs are attacking ICE agents, torching property, clashing with police, waving Mexican flags, Palestinian flags, even Hamas flags. But the one thing you don't see many of are American flags, unless they're being burned or stepped on. Now, that's a problem. I mean, that should be a problem for most Americans. These aren't peaceful demonstrations. They're anti-American demonstrations, and that distinction matters. These people claim that they fled their home countries in search of safety and freedom, but now they're here demanding amnesty while waving the very flags of the nations that they supposedly escaped. Why? Because this isn't immigration. It's an invasion, and it's being orchestrated, enabled, and protected by Democrat leadership. And let's just roll with one more clip here. Let's keep going real quick. Here it is. Well, that's Kamala Harris right there. Kamala Harris. She backs the LA protest and the rioters attack on federal officers. Now, that's Kamala Harris, who was one step away from being our president, and only so many votes away from being our president. Imagine if she was and just allowed this to happen. Imagine if she was the president. That's for my listeners. You guys think about it and have nightmares about it. I hope you don't, but still, that's the point I have to make. Now, let's go to the next one.
Your rally just moments ago, Governor Newsom asked the Trump administration to officially rescind the order to federalize the National Guard on the ground. Meanwhile, this rally continues to pop off, LAPD declaring it unlawful, and they're making arrests.
So, and one more. Let's go to the next one. I mean, look at the way it is. Look at the way they're portraying this. They're portraying this as, it's peaceful. People are having fun. It's a protest. Does that remind you of the 2020 BLM riots? Because at the time, I lived in Philly. I remember them very well. I remember every store being boarded up. I remember sending my wife and my children to New Jersey with my in-laws because I was afraid for what was going to happen. I had to go to Delaware or New Jersey to buy formula and diapers for my son. I mean, it got that bad. And the mainstream media, they portray it as, what they say, fiery but mostly peaceful protest, and they're doing that now. You have Gavin Newsom saying that Trump is inviting chaos by sending in the National Guard. I don't know what you guys see, or I'm sure you've seen a lot more than what I just showed you now. It looks like the chaos was already there. And who's going to step up and stop it other than this administration? Somebody has to, because Gavin Newsom's not going to. He said that he did not ask for the National Guard and he doesn't want them there. So then what's he doing? They're burning down people's businesses, their cars, what they call the Wago cars, those cars that you can order, drive themselves. They're ordering them to come there so they can burn them down. I think there's another clip too, that someone drives a motorcycle right into that. Let's play that one. Now, let me ask you something, looking at that clip right there. If you're a police officer, you're standing there trying to hold the line and stop these protesters that they call themselves, but they're rioters, and they're basically, it's an invasion against our country is what they're doing, because it's anti-American. But if you're an officer and you're trying to hold that line and somebody with a motorcycle tries to bowl right through you, I mean, she could have killed somebody. And they stopped her, they stood her up, and they walked her to the police car. No, I mean, did they grab her physically to do that? Yeah, of course. But imagine if that was you. Imagine if one of those officers ran over, got hurt badly, and another officer hit her in the head with a club because she tried to kill one of their officers that were next to them. Now, would they be warranted to do that? Because if that happened to me and one of my brothers in law enforcement or sisters in law enforcement almost got ran over, killed by protester, I'll say, with a motorcycle, yeah, how would you react to it? Wouldn't you grab your club and crack them in the back of the head and drag them into the car? No, but they still held composure and they did it. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And that's a very hard job to do. So all this anti-ICE, and you have people like Hakeem Jeffries saying he's going to dox, all these ICE agents and put their names out there because they're wearing masks. They're wearing masks to protect their families. Why are I'm not going to say any more protesters, the rioters, how about this? The insurrectionists that are doing it. Why are they wearing masks? To hide their identity. That's why. I mean, it's a tough situation. I mean, just think about it. If anybody with a brain, any voter with a brain, doesn't vote these people out, that means they're in on it and they want the destruction of this nation. If this happened to you in your home and you had people come to your home to try to destroy it, try to hurt your family, and try to take away everything that you've built, and hate your home, but they want it because they want to live there and take it away from you, what would you do? I mean, we are a country based on merit and innovators. That's how we became the greatest nation on earth, and I would like it to stay that way. I hope you would too. And with people like Joe Lombardi, it's going to be coming on. He's going to give you guidelines on how to do that as well. But imagine someone tries to take you. It's basically a war. I mean, you have people that are coming here from other countries and they're saying they're looking for asylum. They're fleeing their country from persecution, and they want to come to America. They get here, they say they hate America, American ideals. They wave their own country flags so obviously they're proud of the country they came from. But how proud are you of that country if you're saying you fled it from persecution? So it's not why they came here. This is orchestrated. They're here for a reason. There are people out there that are basically like scavengers that just want to see the world burn. They want to end greatness. They want to stop innovation. They want to stop progress. And that's not what this country is about. That's not what I'm about. That's not how I was raised. That's not what I believe in. And my listeners, my core base of listeners, I know it's not what you believe in. But what do we do about it? We need to put out the news how we're putting it out without any bias and just show what the facts are and say, where do you stand? Are you for America or are you not? If you're not, then go somewhere else. And if somebody tries to destroy our country, you have to protect it. We need people to stand up and say, no, we're not going to accept this. We dealt with this before. And when we get to Joe very shortly, Joe's going to tell you how to invest and how to make money. So what happens if you work to build a company, you work to build your home, and you put everything in to innovate and for growth and progression, and then somebody comes and says, no, I'm taking it from you. because I don't like what you're doing. I don't like that any progress that you're making. I want to burn it all down. Ask yourselves what you would do if that was the case. I know what I would do, and I know what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to just keep giving the news out there, and if anyone lands on my doorstep with this BS, then they're going to find something that they're not going to want. So, now with that said, let's shift gears. And by the way, this is not over. We're going to be covering this. Alexandra Levine tomorrow will be covering it on her show, and then the Pulse on Wednesdays we're going to definitely cover this. There's a lot more to say. I wish I can go into it more, but Joe was kind enough to let me get this monologue out, and he's a special guest, and he's got a lot to offer. So I don't want to take any more time from him, because while the fires burn in some cities, men like our guest Joe are helping others build something stronger. So joining me now is Joseph Lombardi, founder and managing partner of Ironhawk Financial. Joseph is a self-made leader in the financial world who built his company around integrity, discipline, and helping others achieve long-term stability. So he didn't get here by accident. It took years of hard work, a vision of helping others, and a belief in the American dream. Again, remember, American dream. So he helped countless families and businesses navigate uncertain times with confidence and smart planning. Today, we're going to talk about his journey, and we're going to listen to what his plan is to build a financial plan for everyone when you run into issues, either what I just talked about, or or health issues with family, and just how to build your nest egg and leave something for the loved ones around you, and to prepare for any type of chaos, incident, or anything that possibly could happen that's unforeseen. So let's welcome Joe. Joe, thank you for coming on, and thank you very much for letting me get that monologue out of the way. I know it took a little bit longer, but I really want to hear what you have to say because I'm very interested.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't good, but this is a George Soros backed BLM riot from 4 years ago. This is a playbook of the demon rats, also known as Democrats, but the ones that don't love their country. I'm sure there's Democrats who love their country, and this isn't how this should work. It's really sad to see June 14th, there's 190 riots planned across the country, and of course I'm in a damn blue state, Connecticut, and it stinks. There's a lot of sanctuary cities here. There's rich towns where I live in one of them, and it's surrounded by a bunch of non-rich towns that bring fear and bring sadness and uncertainty to my young children and my spouse. And it stinks, having to live in a time where the government is trying to control what fear, and they're trying to control, like they did with COVID, like they did with BLM and George Floyd. It's the same thing, but the difference now, Americans are waking up. They're waking up to that this is not something that is let's protect the criminals. I mean, this person rapes, this person murders. Let's stand up for them. Like I remember seeing a clip on Instagram about the P. Diddy trials with, and he had like 4 people like free P. Diddy. It's like, come on, dude. Like
I know.
you're Epstein Jr., bro. Like you're going to jail. Have fun. Nobody supports evil. And the people that are supporting evil, the people that are being paid $20 an hour by George Soros to support evil. People want what? They want freedom. They want safety. They don't want to fail. And when you put them in a position where they're supporting illegal people, they're supporting people who broke laws, and that's the demon rat party. Is we support people that don't hold values of following the law. It's despicable, and I hope they pay in 2028, and I hope they pay in 2032 and 2036. I hope rest of my lives the demon rats don't get in power, because they keep showing their true colors, that they care more about power and money than they do about the American people, and it's sad.
No, it definitely is. And before we get into your journey and how you got to where you are and why you started, what you do, just looking at, again, I wanted this politics aside because I know you have a lot to offer. But with this happening, I didn't expect this to happen. I was at work today. I didn't go on any social media. I knew the riots were starting, but I didn't know it escalated this fast because I just had to put it aside. I had meetings all day at work and I had a lot of stuff to do. And then as soon as I got home, I talked to my producer and he's like, well, you don't have anything set up. I said, well, I'm interviewing Joe. And I said, so I really didn't have any clips or anything I wanted to play. He's like, you don't see what's going on. I said, yeah, I know what's going on. No, I looked at it. I said, oh, wow. I didn't know in 8 hours that happened so fast and it got so bad. But you're in the financial world, and we both know that the government isn't in the business of making money at all. They're not a private company. The government doesn't have money. It's our money, our taxpayer dollars. But we're $36 trillion in debt. And a lot of this money, a lot of this chaos and destruction costs us even more money. We have to pay for it. The government, they're oh, don't worry about it. The government's going to take care of it. No, they're not. We're going to take care of it. Our debt's going to go up, and there's going to be more issues that we're going to have. So this is contributing to that, and that puts it more into your expertise in your world, like when it deals with money and debt, and the money's got to come from somewhere. How are you going to make it? How are you going to keep it? So that's where I'm at with that first question before we get into where you got started and founded your company.
I mean, at the end of the day, the government doesn't sell any goods or services or provide any products. They just enslave us, steal our money, and if we don't pay them, they throw us in jail. So we're all slaves to the federal government. Our social security number is our slave number. And that's the number that they look up. They don't know your name. They just know your slave number. And if you ain't paying your dues, you're not giving in, you're keeping more of your hard-earned money that they had zero interest in helping you grow, you're a bad person. But yet the good people are the ones lighting police cars on fire. Make it make sense, right? Yeah. So when you understand the government, right, we are bred and we are indoctrinated with a mindset of debt, taxation, and slavery. And it doesn't matter what skin you are, white, black, brown, green, yellow, it don't matter. It's not like, before the Civil War where like only black people were slaves. No, we're all slaves. It is what it is. And most Americans, they think that their dollars, it's going to the school system, it's going to the roads. It's like, have you driven around America? Have you seen our school systems? Like, we are what ranked in math, science, social studies? We're top ranked? No, we're bottom ranked, and we spend the most. We spend the most money, is what they're telling us, on education. So when you look behind the curtain, Wizard of Oz, you realize that this is all fugazi, right? From the Wolf of Wall Street. It's all fugazi. So what do I do, right? Knowing that my government doesn't have my back, my state doesn't have my back, my town doesn't have my back. You're paying town taxes, state taxes, federal taxes, sales taxes, car taxes, gas taxes, cigarette taxes, alcohol taxes, cell phone, home phone taxes. We are taxed up the what. Yeah. So what people don't do is they don't say, hey, what's the best way to build a strategy tax-free? Because that contradicts what? It contradicts our culture and our way of life that instant gratification is the best way to live. Screw your future self. Only care about your present self. And what does that lead to? That leads to student loans, leads to mortgages, leads to car payments, leads to credit card payments. And we as a country, for every $100 we earn, we spend over $102. How make that make sense? I earned $100, I spent $102. Oh, debt. And the people don't understand is you're enslaving your future self. People don't understand you have a past self, have a present self, and you have a future self. And if you're not building and helping and protecting your future self, who is? That would be no one. and you are enslaving your future self by contributing to the debt society, right? Back in the 1960s, 1950s, if people didn't have money, they didn't buy it. Now you don't have money, just swipe the plastic. I'll pay for it later with a 29.99% interest. I'll take this $70 dinner at Outback Steakhouse and pay him $190, 8 months from now. What?
I hope my wife is watching right now.
I'll go on FabFitFun like my wife does. It's Christmas every day at the Lombardi house. But so when you understand what people do is they try to say YOLO, you only live once, YOLO, and they entrap and enslave their future self. Now, I've been doing this 22 years. I've met tens of thousands of people, and most people can't afford to do retirement, legacy planning, long-term care, life insurance, disability, tax diversification. They can't afford it because they're too busy engulfed and enslaved on either what they're doing today or what they did yesterday. And what people do is they do 401ks, IRAs, SEPs, simples, pensions, deferred comp. For every $1 you write off. Oh, well, my accountant said, well, your accountant said put $15,000 in your 401k or $20,000 to max in your 401k because you're going to save $6,000 today. Do you know that that's a lie? The real world says you defer, because if I save something, I still own it and I still have it. But what happens to that 20 grand that I put away in 2025 in my 401k and IRA? That's going to grow to 200 grand in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, depending on how many fees you're paying Wall Street. We'll get to that. Mm-hmm. So if that grows to 200 grand, taxes aren't going down. As you said, we owe 36. Once the big, beautiful bill goes through, it'll be close to 40, if not over 40 trillion dollars of taxes. What was the highest marginal tax rate in the 1980s? Does the average American know that? Well, they should. It was 70%. What was the highest marginal tax rate in the 1960s? Over 90%. 90. I'm not talking about Venezuela. Mm-hmm. Nope. Not talking about Sweden. I'm talking about here in the United States. So we are in, believe it or not, federally, we are in the second lowest tax bracket, highest marginal in U.S. history. World War I, it dropped after we won. Great Depression, World War II. Of course, world wars jumped taxes about 55, 60%. Why do you think the neocons were pushing to World War III? But I digress. We're in the second lowest tax environment since end of World War I, Great Depression, World War II. We're talking about 100 years. 100 years. But when you understand that taxes have nowhere to go but up because the government doesn't sell any products or services. They extract labor and time, which time is your biggest asset, American people, not money. You trade your time for money, which would make your time more valuable if you really look into it. So if you understood what's going on, why wouldn't you build a legal tax-free account that's sue-proof? Remember HIPAA laws? Remember COVID, HIPAA? No one's supposed to know your medical records against the law. There's no database legally allowed to be obtained by people that are suing you, by the federal government. They're not legally allowed to have that information. Why wouldn't you have this that's sue-proof, that's divorce-proof in most states? Because when you get to a divorce, they mandate you to buy life insurance, not sell it. Have it averaging, 14% tax-free annual compounding rate of returns documented last 20 years. If you did it in this strategy, you would have returned that, which is 400% net more than the S&P 500. Whew. How about you can't lose? What happens when the market goes down? How about your business? Well, most of you lose money. How's your real estate? You lose money. How about your retirement account? Oh, I lose money. So you have a correlated asset that is taxable, that is suable, that can lose, that is high feed. What people don't understand about IRAs and 401ks, I worked in Wall Street. I worked in Manhattan, 7 Hanover Square, NFN Financial. Worked there for years. Look it up. On the way up, over half of your contributions are fees. Over 50%, over 50% of what you contribute to an IRA or 401k is taken in the form of 12B1 fees, Class A share fund fees, money management fees, annual account fee, mutual fund expense fee. Well, what's 30 years, right? 30 times 1.5. That would be 45. I had 1.5 multiplied by 30 is 45. That is simple interest. This is compounding. So that means when your account grows to like $3 million or $1 million, if you're lucky enough to have saved that much, what's 1.5% of $1 million? That's 15 grand every year, compounding. Now you're in your retirement, right? So over half your money is stolen from you while you're accumulating. And then what happens when I take distributions? I have what? Federal tax, state tax, FICA, Medicare, unemployment, Social Security tax. So where's half your money there? Uncle Sam takes it. The state you live in takes it. So if I'm investing in an asset where I get less than a quarter, I get less than 25% long term of what I put in. If you want to add, well, I get the write-offs, call it 35%. So I get an asset where I get 35% of what I put in versus an asset that the ultra wealthy use where they get upwards of 90% of what they put in because all tax-free. So theirs wipes out 50% taxes. And the only fees you pay for is the cost of insurance. If you have a business, you have a family, you're a blue-collar business owner, you need disability. You need life insurance. You need long-term care. Because if you're not protecting yourself and your family financially, who is? Government ain't. So when something happens, like happened to me, my dad fell 3 stories off a ladder, $27 million, JV Lombardi Builders, out of Fairfield, Connecticut, gone. How about my mother? Oh, she died at 52 years old, cirrhosis of liver. Well, does she have life insurance? No. Crippled me emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and financially. Well, that sucked for me. Went through extreme depression and anxiety when that happened, but that's a long story. And what about my grandmother? She had a stroke because her husband died and her son died through Agent Orange from Vietnam in the same year. So dementia was caused by the stroke, lack of oxygen to her brain when she's having a stroke. Does dementia kill you? No. So she was alive over 8 years. The nursing home extracted $4.2 million. That my grandfather did 40 years of hard labor with his hands doing masonry work, was stolen by the state of Connecticut. My grandmother was thrown in a 10 by 10 room known as a nursing home with a stranger known as nursing home. And all of her money was stolen. So I lived it, right? This isn't hypothetical. This isn't, it might have, could have, should have. This happened to me. And if you're not doing something to protect it from happening to you and your spouse and your children, then who is? So it's vitally, vitally important to build a solid financial foundation. And if you're not going to do it and something happens out of your control, sickness, injury, illness, taxes shoot up, market goes down, inflation goes up, interest rates go up, you're putting yourself in a disadvantage where you're going to be taken advantage of by that said government, which didn't they educate you in the federally funded school system where they didn't teach you this stuff? So I work with estate attorneys. I work with estate planners. I work with tax attorneys. This is what the ultra wealthy do. You don't need to be ultra wealthy to do it.
So what type of clients do you usually work with? Say somebody like myself. I'm the carpenters union, but I'm a superintendent. I build commercial buildings for a living. I love my job, love what I do. I'm also involved in politics and the podcast and the radio show and all that stuff. But through my job, I am a union guy. I believe in trades unions because of what they come with. As far as the contractor pays into your annuity, you do have a pension, even though a pension is kind of like a Ponzi scheme. It's kind of like Social Security. It's really a Ponzi scheme. So what I have going into my annuity, the contractor pays, I mean, that's good. It's in my annuity. But for somebody like me to start investing my money in the right places to grow what you're talking about, what will be the first step?
Well, number one, I was on the cover of the top 40 under 40 in the country for finance. So I work with multimillionaires to be on this cover. But more importantly to your audience, I was on the cover of the who's who in building and construction. Building and construction, the who's who. financial planner, building instructions, should be an electrician here. I work with over 1,000 blue collar businesses across the country. So what you need to do is, number one, get out of debt. High interest debt is cancer to your long-term financial growth. It's cancer. It kills it. So get out of debt. Number two is have a budget. Most business owners don't have a budget. They spend so much time working in their business, they put zero time working on their business. Okay. Number three is you need to take 10% of what you earn and live under your means. There's only one way to build wealth, and that's to save your income, unless you are one of these people born in the Rothschild trusts or Rockefeller trusts, which I wasn't. So you have to be disciplined, which, are we disciplined as Americans? No, we're not. So you need to have a plan, because if you fail to plan, your plan's to fail. Now, I have clients that give me $50 million a year, and I have clients that give me $250 a month. At the end of the day, God has blessed me with a very good career, a beautiful wife, 3 healthy children, a nice home, reliable vehicles. My daughter's on the U.S. tap team, so I'll be in Prague in a couple months. My kids play lacrosse, football, basketball. I coach. I have a very, very blessed life, very blessed life. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to build a financial foundation for your family, what do you think is going to happen when something happens out of your control? That's God's will, not yours. And when that happens, your family's going to suffer emotionally, spiritually, mentally. You're going to suffer physically, and then your whole family suffers financially. So you have to understand, you have to build a plan, So somebody like you, let's say you made $100,000 a year. I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt. I would have you put away $500 to $1,000 a month in my strategy. You then would lean the money out. So let's say Elon Musk, right? We all know him. He needs $100 million for a SpaceX rocket, right? He has 2 choices. He could do what the average American does. Option 1, sell $200 million of Tesla stock, pay $100 million in taxes, net the $100 million he needs for the SpaceX rocket, and lose out on $200 million of future growth on that said asset he sold. It's gone. Mm-hmm. That's what the average American does. What my clients do, thousands of them, to the tune of billions of dollars of protection rollover, my 22-year career. Google me. Mm-hmm. Well, what he does is he takes $100 million to a bank, gets a collateralized lien or loan, and are loans taxable? No. So it's 100% tax-free, pays $0 in taxes. How about the asset? Is the asset still earning interest and growth? Well, yeah. Has historically earned more than 5%? Yeah, look at Tesla's returns. Earned way more than 5% historically. So he's making more money than the loan rate he's paying the bank. He pays $0 in taxes, pays $0, actually makes money in interest, has a net profit historically on interest, nets the $100 million, buy the rocket. That's what my clients do. They use the fact they're going to die, which we're all going to die. It's guaranteed. Sorry, listeners, if you want to cover your ears, but we all die. We know you're going to die, so the insurance company and investment company knows you're going to die, and there's a death benefit attached to it. So why not lean your death benefit? How much taxes are in that? 0. What's the growth on that? 14 historically. What's the loan rate on that? 5. So imagine having a negative 9% interest rate loan. What does that mean? That means I could show you in 6 years how to buy all your vehicles and equipment for free. For free. What do you do that? If you have $100,000 in my strategy, pull out $90,000, you would have went to Ford of America. You would have went to Lexus Financial to finance it at what? What rate? 10%. How many months? 72. That's the average auto loan. So if I pull that out, well, what's the cost of the loan over 6 years on $90,000? Oh, about $45,000. Well, what's 9% profit I'm earning by leaning it and earning 2 streams of income on $1? Well, 9% of 90,000 is 8,100. What's 8,100 times 6 years? 81, that's 48,000. What's 48,000 of growth you made on money that's not there? You used it to buy a vehicle. It's out of your account. Look up non-direct recognition. Non-direct recognition. Look up IRS code 7702. You don't take my word for it. Google it. So now I just made $48,000 on money that's not there that I used to pay for my car. And I saved $45,000 in interest. Well, what's 48 plus 45? Well, that'd be 93,000. How much was the car? 90. I got the car for, you made money buying the car over 6 years. So these are the things that the average American doesn't know. And they think they know, well, my accountant says your accountant's not licensed. Your accountant is licensed to plug in some numbers in the computer screen, hit enter, and then charge you $2,000 to do your taxes.
Yeah, no, I think I know where you're going, but I'm not fully there yet. So, say my podcast on Friday, when everyone was talking about Elon Musk, his stock dropped, he lost whatever it was, $50 billion, whatever,
$150 billion,
$150 billion, whatever it was.
Yep.
But and I was like, he didn't lose it. He didn't sell his stock.
He didn't sell it.
Yeah, so he didn't lose money.
He made back $50 billion the next day.
So it's like he never sold his stock, so he didn't lose it. And then it made me actually think about it, especially when you were just talking. Say, for instance, my annuity. When I used it for home renovation, instead of pulling money from my annuity and paying the taxes on it, what I was able to do was take a loan from my union against my annuity. So I didn't touch it. It still stayed there. And
you pay back the loan.
Yeah. It's gaining.
And you pay back yourself your own interest.
Exactly. So I figured that's where you were going with it. I just
that's a 0% interest. Imagine making historically 9% on it.
Yeah. That's
so you pull out $50,000. Historically, you're making $4,500 on money that's not there while you pay it back.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, you can Google rich person's Roth, Forbes, and these are articles written by certified public accountants from 2018. These are articles written by financial planners from 2020. So when you look at what's going on, right? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. That's why I'm a numerologist, because it's the most certain thing in the world. 2 + 2 will always be 4. Doesn't matter if you have a nose ring, blue hair, and you feel like it's 5. It's 4. Sorry, darling.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about numbers. Numbers are always definitive. So when you look at a 401k, does it matter how much you gross, or does it matter how much you net? Well, the average American, because I've been coming in my office all the time, I'm a millionaire. I got 1.1 million in my 401k. I said, if you're a millionaire, prove it. Take it out. Well, if I did, I had to pay federal tax, state tax, FICA, Medicare, and employment. I'm at 630. So you're not a millionaire. You have a fake number where the government's going to steal $500,000 from you. Great job. Great job. You did the right thing by saving up for your future. You did it the wrong way by inviting the government to come in and be your partner that provides no value. They're going to take half of your money if you do well. What if you don't do well? What if you lose 50%? Does the government pay the 25% you lost? No. So you're taking all the risk, inviting the government to come in and bask in your gains for what? When you don't have to, because there's a better way than a 401k. Oh, that's a book I've written. It's on Amazon. Look up Joseph Lombardi on Amazon. I will offer all of your listeners all 3 of my books for free. There's a better way than a 401k. Being your own bank. That's pretty cool. And long-term care without long-term pains for free. No cost. All you have to do is send an email to joe@ironhawkfinancial.com and say free books. I'll send you my PDF copies. I'll send you my articles, my magazines, my radio show with hundreds of thousands of listeners, Money Talk with Ironhawk on Apple Podcasts and podcast.co. I'll send you my website, my YouTube video for free, everything. You don't have to believe me. Look it up. Google it. This is a strategy that the government hides. Well, why would the government hide it? Because people that have IRAs and 401ks pay 10% of government's GDP. So, you know how they're spending all this money, sending it to Ukraine, building bombs, killing women and children? Great job having a 401k. What my clients do is they save all that money. They don't get the write-off. It works like a Roth IRA, hence rich person's Roth, Forbes. It's built like a Roth. All the money's tax-free. Well, Joe, I don't save the $5,000 on the $15,000 I put away this year. You don't save anything. You defer it. If I'm in a football game and I flip a coin and I win and I choose I want to receive, does that mean I got to kick at the second half? What did I win? What did I save? You didn't save anything. You got to kick off next half. So when you have accountants and the government tricking you by saying the word tax savings when it's really called tax deferral, yes, fact check me on that. When you're deferring your money, you're saving nothing. You're actually paying more later. So I can show you easily how to save $1 million in taxes. 1 million. That's if taxes don't go up. Taxes are going up. But assuming taxes don't go up, I can save you $1 million in taxes if you're putting away $15,000 a year in your IRA and 401k. Over 30 years, I'll put $1 million in your bank account, in your pocket, and it costs you $0. I never lost a client $1 in 22 years. I never charged a client $1 in 22 years. Well, how do you work for free, Joe? No, I get paid what's called FYC, first year commission. I get paid when I send money to an insurance or investment company. They pay me a percentage. Well, that comes out of my account, does it? Nope. It comes out of the general account of the insurance company. I can show you how to roll over your retirement and IRAs into a fixed index annuity with zero cost, averaging 16.72% through a trillion dollar company that's been around 130 years, that survived the Civil War, World War I, the Great Depression, World War II, never needed any outsourced money. That's where millionaires and billionaires put their money. They don't put them in banks with $250,000 FDIC insurance loan. They don't put them in 401ks or IRAs or SEPs or Roths. They put them in my strategy that the ultra rich do. Well, Joe, I'm not ultra rich. You don't have to be ultra rich. You can use the same IRS code. Google it. IRS code section 7702. Unlike the really bad IRS code most of your listeners are using, 401k. That's an IRS section code, 401k. It's garbage. This code, IRS code 7702, is superior in every way possible.
All right, so I wanted to ask you, I was curious about the one part. How it doesn't, you don't charge money, doesn't cost the clients money. How does that actually work? How is money gained? Because the way everyone thinks is, well, in the right way, like whatever service is going to be provided to you, and any company you get involved with for any service, money has to come from somewhere. Somebody's got to pay for something. So how does that offset? How does it offset to where your client doesn't have to pay any money? You don't charge them any money, and money is made. How's it actually?
Great question. So in the investment insurance world, there's something called a general account. General insurance companies have general accounts. Okay. The general account is just everyone puts their money into the general account. Now, the new annuities out there use option contracts, right? What's an option contract? It's called a call or a long. If it does well, or you can bet on it doing unwell, which you buy a put or a short. Right? The movie The Big Short, the guy made $1 billion betting against mortgage industry. That was a bet called a short, hence the title of the movie, Big Short. That's a contract term. Now, this goes over so many people's heads because our own government in the educational system doesn't teach you how to invest money because they want you to invest money with the employer because they want you to be a good little slave. Okay, so they don't want to teach you any of this stuff. Even if you have a finance degree, they don't even teach you about this. Unless you get to the doctorate level. And how many doctor financial Americans are in the United States? Very, very little.
I don't know any.
I don't know any either. So when you understand what's going on with an option contract, you buy a term policy, right? That's death insurance. It's $20 a month, $50 a month. Then what you do, right? That's temporary insurance. Then to make it permanent insurance, because what's IRS code section 7702, it's the code embedded in the death benefit of a permanent life insurance policy. So you're not renting it, you're owning it. Big difference. You own the death benefit. No matter when you die, that $1 million, 200,000, 20 million, whatever, how much you buy, is guaranteed to pay out tax-free. Well, what if I lien it? What if I take money out of it? So that's really the strategy. Now your question is, well, how is it free? It's free because the option contract, let's say a company, dare I say a company like Allianz, love them, great company, $1 trillion global company. So, are they like BlackRock? Do they buy people's houses? No, they're safe. They're a good company. A+ Mutual, great company. I only like to use A+. I use them and National Life Group. I was just in the Bahamas 2 weeks ago, getting their #1 broker award in the country out of tens of thousands of agents. I was the #1 guy. Cool, awesome.
Nice.
So I use Allianz. Well, why? Well, they're the only company that owns their option contracts. Well, what does that mean? They don't use Goldman Sachs. They don't use any of these other Wells Fargo, any of these other option contract companies. They have it in-house. Well, how can I roll over $1 million and you're going to guarantee me not to lose, but it's averaging 16%? Well, it's easy. Their general account is paying a little under 7%, right? So let's use 6%. So you roll over $1 million. They give you 6% up front, called 60 grand. They take, that 60 grand, they're guaranteed to pay you, and they buy option contracts with it. Well, what if all the contracts lose? Well, you're in their general account. What's it earning? 6%? What do you have in there left? 940? What's 940 times 1.06? Oh, that would be back to $1 million. So they guarantee your money back in 12 months, regardless of if the market is good or bad. If the market is bad, you get your $1 million. The market does good, now you can make 150,000, 200,000 with no risk, with no fees. How is that possible? Because men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. And if they're going to use their general account, owning their own option contracts, which is the only company that does it, and no, I don't work for Allianz. I'm a broker. I own Ironhawk Financial. I work with 200 carriers, depending if it's a Roth IRA, whether it's an inherited IRA, a kids IRA, a qualified account. There's different carriers for different things. I'm just using one example here. And no, this isn't financial advice. And if, one strategy isn't for everybody. You still got to do a fact finder, risk tolerance, time horizon, assets, income, longevity. Yeah. You still have to go through all that. But this is just something that's very popular right now. How much money has gone into annuities in the last 12 months? I don't know. Try 500 billion, half a trillion. Kind of, clients were happy over the last 4 months when the market was down 26% and up 5%, still not even the all-time high. But my clients were very happy because they got to sleep like a baby when the market was going down and everyone was like, the world's falling on. Of course, it comes back. What comes up must come down. What comes down must come up. But we have recency bias, and I digress. So they use the option contract strategy. They make more money. You can't lose. And if you do an income annuity, because people think assets are more valuable than income, but income's more valuable than assets. I could take your annuity you have through your, blue collar career you have going on, Damon, and you have two choices. When you retire, you can say, I'll take the payment. But guess what happens if you die the next day? Your family gets nothing. Well, there's 4 things that can happen to you in retirement. What's that? I live long. I die early. My spouse lives long. My spouse dies early. Well, I'm going to give my wife some money and I'm going to take the income. It's like, oh my God, bro, please don't do that. Please. Because when you do that, all you have to do is what? Throw it into it and roll it over. 1035 Irish exchange. What does that cost? $0. It's free. You roll it in and now you have a death benefit. Now you have an income doubler for long-term care. Now you have a guaranteed payout higher than what they're offering you to the state. And you have the ability to earn money. Because once you annuitize through any type of municipality, you lose rights for everything. They keep all the profit. If you die, they keep all the money. There's nothing for your spouse. There's no legacy plan. There's no long-term care. Okay. So these are the things that the average American doesn't understand. It's like, it's too complicated. I don't get it. I don't trust it. It sounds too good to be true, which that's my logo. Ironhawk Financial sounds too good to be true. I hear it like 5 times a week. It's awesome. But it is. You're talking about decades of proven experience from me, Joseph Lombardi. You're talking about hundreds of years through insurance companies that survived Civil War, World War I, Great Depression, World War II, that stayed mutual. Well, in order to stay mutual, it means you never went public, never did an IPO. And what's an IPO? Initial public offering. Never had a stockholders taking 10% of your profit, and it was owned by the people that invested in it. Well, who are those people? Name me a $1 trillion industry, a trillion, that the average American doesn't know exists. A $1 trillion industry that the average American doesn't know exists. So who's funding it? The ultra wealthy are. The 0.0001 are dumping billions and billions of dollars into it, while the average American is dumping thousands and thousands into the government stuff, which isn't good.
Yeah, no, I hear you there. I mean, listen, I'm very impressed with the strategy. It is, and I knew where you were going with it, but I didn't know it was to that level or where to go. I never even thought about something like that, but that sounds like a really great idea. So you've been doing this a long time. I'm sure you have a lot of happy clients then. So where do you see Ironhawk Financial, say, in 5 years?
I want to be a national company because we don't serve out of the country, even though I have carriers that do serve out of the U.S., but I don't do it. It's just too complicated. So I'm looking to be a national name brand name. Ironhawk Financial, Iron is my clients, hardworking people. I'm the hawk who comes in, swoops in, protects, and educates. So that's where I came up with Ironhawk Financial. And I'm licensed in all 50 states. I personally have agents across the country that are working with Ironhawk. I have strategic alliances with accountants, attorneys, elder law attorneys, estate planners that send the company leads. We have openers, we have closers, we have educators, we do seminars, webinars. Like, we're growing, right? I'm looking to be the Dave Ramsey of actually liking annuities and life insurance, because he was an Ameriprise agent, which is by term invested difference. So he hates, annuities are bad. Permanent life insurance. Oh, you're being scammed. Just buy a term policy that'll expire, because you have to go through underwriting. That'll expire before you die. The insurance company keeps 100% of all your premiums. You get nothing guaranteed. And put it in a assets under management fund where I'm stealing 1.5% compounding. If the market goes up or down, I'm rewarded. Can you imagine doing a job where if you lose the client 50%, you still make all the money?
Yeah.
Name me another job. Name me another job where you don't do your job properly. You hurt the person you're serving and you still get paid.
Anybody elected in the political world?
Yeah, politician and the IRS arm of the government called Wall Street. And I worked there. I was there. It's very demonic. So when you understand what's going on, you say, there's a better way than a 401k. Again, if you want to read my book, it's absolutely free. And there is. And you don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Look up IRS code section 7702. Look up non-direct recognition. It's the coolest thing ever. Teach you how to buy all your cars for the rest of your life for free. As long as you can save up enough money to buy a car, then the rest of your cars are free for the rest of your life. So if you understand exactly how it works, it's structured the right way, built the right way. Now, disclaimer, right? If you buy this from somebody who doesn't build it the right way with the right carrier, the right riders, the right sub account, the right investment options, you could be screwed. You could be. And most people, like at these network marketing companies, like plumbers during the day and financial planners at night, I don't want to list them and get sued, but I'm sure you know the household names. Sure. You're going to be in trouble. So you want to work with somebody who knows exactly what they're doing, how to build it, that has decades of positive reviews, that has thousands of clients and billions of dollars of protection rollovers in his career, that's a published author, that's been featured in many, many publications, including the who's who in the Congressional Library for 2023 right here. When you have that proven, factual data supporting what you're saying, because again, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. There's no snake oil here. Everything is that I'm saying is true, or I wouldn't say it because I could be sued. Because remember that word, fiduciary. So when you do the right thing, good things come. When you're with God, you have white light, positive energy, frequency, vibration. You attract the people that are good. I'm not looking to attract bad people. I don't want to work with a-holes, which is good. And I don't bring in a-holes into my company. So I have not let more people come into my company. They've been dying to get into my company than people I've actually let in. Because guess who's going to be working in my company? My 3 children. And I want people that are ethical, moral. They're going to teach them the right way to be a good financial advisor, a good financial planner, a good insurance professional, a good estate planner, a good tax attorney that could save them money, that can pay down their house faster. Proven. These are the relationships that I have, that I built over 2 decades, that most Americans need. They just either don't have the time, they're broke, they can't afford it because they're in debt. And again, I've turned down about 2,000 clients in my career. They come to me with like $50,000 of Amex debt at 29.99. I'm like, I can't make you 29.99 tax free. That's what you're paying these credit card companies. So pay that off and then give me a call. And unfortunately, most people are brainwashed and they will always be in the cycle. They can never get out of it. I had clients in the next town over. They made $750,000 a year. They went bankrupt and they were broke. I ended up saying, stop paying all your debt and refinance. This was like 2012, 2014-ish. Mm-hmm. So they did that and they freed up $12,000 a month. And I said, all right, how much do you want to put away for your 2 children and each other in your future? They said $100 a month.
What?
I was like, I just saved you $144,000 a year, and you want to give me $1,200 a year for your future? I fired him on the spot. I was like, I was looking through their checking because I was doing their budget, and it was Outback Steakhouse, it was Longhorn, takeout food, and I'm like, there's some people that you can never help. You know those 400, 500, 600, 700 pound people? Nothing you can do. They just want to eat. And
Yeah.
there's people with money, they just want to consume. They just give me more money. I buy it, I spend it, I spend it, I spend it. So I try and help people, but at the end of the day, you have to want to help yourself in order to make this work, because you could get hurt in the strategy. You know, if you cancel this thing or don't fund it correctly for the first couple years, you could take a loss, right? So you have to make sure you are disciplined, which how many people are. That's why my scope of clients are very small, because a lot of people don't have the means, they don't have the willpower, they don't have the fortitude and the discipline to build. They're barely surviving presently. How are they going to build something long term? This is for the people that actually want to have a protection, financial, protect their family. And again, there's about 10-12% of our population, but the other 88%, they can't even afford a new set of tires. If I said, hey, you have to buy a new set of tires tomorrow in cash, can you afford it? The answer is no. So you really need to do the first steps, which is get out of debt, have a budget, and live below your means before you can even talk to any. It doesn't have to be me. You can talk to any financial advisor, any financial planner. You need to do those 3 steps. And unfortunately, as our country now deal with inflation, eating away the purchasing power of our dollar. So like now you go to McDonald's, a Big Mac meal is no longer $8, $9. It's $15. Might as well go get a steak at Outback Steakhouse, $12.99. But these are the things that we have to deal with now as Americans, and most people are just too busy or they just don't care. And then you add Uber Eats in. Oh my God, dude! I mean, people are paying $30 a meal just to have it delivered because they're so lazy. It's just, but yet they're broke. Make that make sense. But so these are the things that people need to care about. You know, it's just most people don't. It is what it is. But if you do, reach out to me, ironhawkfinancial.com, baby.
So, all right. Yeah. I mean, you're right about it. That's what separates winners and losers is discipline. So if you want to achieve a goal, you have to be disciplined in doing it. But the only thing is a lot of people may not know the right path on how to achieve it. They might have the willingness to do it and they want to achieve it. They are disciplined people. They just don't know the right direction. So I mean, I would throw people your way and say, hey, listen, you sold me so far and everything. And of course, you said, don't believe you, look it up yourself. I tell people that all the time. And 2 of my favorite phrases that you use is math doesn't lie, because I'm a carpenter. I use it all the time. I used to argue with my teachers when I was in grade school. When am I ever going to use this? And I use it every single day in my job. That's why I say that all the time. And I tell people all the time during my podcast, don't believe me, look it up yourself. I'll just show you, where to go. But a lot of people don't know where to go and stuff like this. And that's why, I mean, everything you just said is very educational, and I'm going to look into it, and I'm very interested because I can be disciplined. There's times where we all slip here and there, but there's other things that I want to do and I want to achieve. Like for instance, and you can weigh in on it. I invest in some stocks and stuff like that, but not much. Just to play around with it. But what I started doing was buying into a stock, because when I first started doing it, I would watch the stock and I'm like, oh wow, this is making money. I picked the right stock. This is great. And and let it sit there. And then if I needed, I'd sell a little bit of it here and there. But then if I saw it start to drop, like I better sell now before it goes. And it was a big mistake. So what I started doing is I started like weekly, like buying a stock, a portion of a stock, or maybe it's even crypto or something like that. Doesn't matter what it is. $25 a week, automatically just buying stuff like that. It's something that I'm trying. And I've seen it starting to accumulate money. And now, could that stock go under eventually? Possibly, yeah. It's not your strategy, but it's at least a disciplined way to start something. So I'm always interested in finding, I could be disciplined. And I'm sure there's a lot of listeners out there can be disciplined too. They just don't know the right way to do it. So I've been trying things. I'm sure other people have. But your strategy sounds pretty good, and I'd be willing to try it. And I'm sure people listening and will be listening later when they replay this, and we'll be listening on Alexander's show tomorrow night too. We'll definitely be interested in it. I mean, it sounds like a good strategy. I mean, I seen your background, your story in the beginning. I mean, it's a tragedy sometimes gets people to step up and come up with something and move forward, but it sucks it has to be that way. And I seen your company that you built, and everything I read seems awesome. He seemed like a great guy. When we talked the other day, I'm like, man, so you sound like my kind of guy. You're hitting all the phrases that I always say. I'm like, I like this guy. And what you just explained to me now sounds like a very smart plan. And there are only going to be so many people that are going to do it. So many disciplined people will do it. So it's not like it's something where everybody's going to jump on board and it's going to be saturated to where it breaks down. So that's the beauty part about it, because there aren't enough disciplined people to stick with this plan.
Yeah, there's still people that think Joe Biden was a good president. It's like you can't, it's like the scarecrow. You can't give people a brain. It is what it is.
Yeah. So no, man, that sounds great, man. And everybody listening out there, and everyone listening to this later, I implore you to go look it up. And you said it just email you, and
send an email to joe@ironhawkfinancial.com and just put free books or hi, or I heard you on Jersey Shore podcast. I'll send you everything. My Calendly link will be there. Again, no obligation. You'll never get another email from me again. You won't go on any type of list. I had so many marketing people like, oh, did you take all the people from the podcast? Because I've done hundreds of podcasts. You can look me up. All those people, I've probably had about 8,000 people that sent me emails, got the free books. I probably met with 10% of them and maybe worked with about 3% of them. Like, oh, you should put them on an email blast. I'm like, no, I'm good. I only work with people who actually care, that actually want to look into it, because I don't chase anybody. I'm done with that. I'm doing this way too long. I just want to work with people that want this strategy, and a lot of people are waking up. They really are. Infinite banking, be your own bank, rich person's Roth. These are all key words that are now more abundant on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube. These are more common phrases that the average American's waking up to say, maybe this 401k and this annuity I have through the union isn't serving me that well. And yes, I know the union, they pay for it, so it's contributing to it. But unlike a teacher pays for a 403b, oh my God, unmatched qualified money. You want to talk about getting double screwed? Yeah, you're getting double screwed. So these are the things that people are waking up to, and the more I wake up people, I can't get too big too fast because I'll die of a heart attack, if you know what I mean, Clinton style. So, I don't want to grow too fast, but I do want to help people. And that's why I come to the Patriots, because you're my type of people. I'm blue collar. Even though I own a white collar business, I'm a multi-millionaire. I just try and help people. And when you do that and you have that lifestyle, and God blesses me and opens doors for me and allows me on awesome platforms like yours, Damon, these are the opportunities God gives me. And I just try to make the most of it by helping the most people. So at the end of the day, when I die, God doesn't care how many zeros were in my briefcase. He cares how many people I affected positively and how many people I left in a better situation after I met them than before I met them.
That is an awesome way to look at it. And I want to thank you for coming on the show, not only for the information you're giving. I implore all the listeners to look you up, but it was such a break to hear some positive things, because being in the political world and having this podcast and trying to change things for the better, then sometimes you can't, but you're trying, and looking at all the news out there all the time. I really, personally, myself, I needed a break from it. I was really looking forward to this. And then when I was talking to my producer earlier, like I said, he's like, you didn't see all this escalated. I'm like, I really wanted a break. I wanted just the positive stuff, and everything you just gave was great. So I still had to deliver on that news earlier, but I'm just so happy that you came on and informed me about all this and informed all the listeners about it, because it sounds like a great strategy. It was positive, and I want positive things in my life. Everybody wants positive things in their life, and this was just a breath of fresh air tonight. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this with everybody. Thank you for joining Jersey Shore Podcast and America's Pulse Network. You'll be on the America's Pulse Network tomorrow with Alexandra Levine. Levine Live. She's our White House correspondent, by the way, too. So she's a firecracker as well, and she's awesome. So, but man, all I can say is thank you for coming on. Thanks for putting this out there to all the listeners. Well, much appreciated.
Yeah, my goal is to provide value. And, you have the outreach, and I appreciate your time, and I pray for all of your listeners. I pray for you. Keep speaking the truth. There has to be some warriors out there that, as men, we have to speak and fight and do it in a way that keeps us out of jail, which is hard nowadays with the political. But it's definitely something where I appreciate what you do and keep doing it.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that as well. So, listen, thanks for coming on tonight, and I hope this isn't the last time that you come on Jersey Shore. And we'd like to hear updates and have you in on some episodes and stuff like that. It would be amazing. So, but thank you very much, Joe Lombardi. Everybody, make sure you look him up. Iron Hawk Financial. Sorry about that, but send him an email. Say hello. Ask for his books. He's going to send it to you for free. He's got a great strategy, great company that he built ground up. Again, people I talk about, true American patriots. We're innovators. We like to build things, and that's where we're all about. We want to build. We want to tear down. We want to build. We want good stuff. True patriots, true Americans. So let's get there. Look up Joe Lombardi, everybody. So, Joe, thank you for coming on tonight. I'm going to end it here, going to promoting our other podcasters and stuff like that. But man, it was seriously. I'm not joking. I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. It was a breath of fresh air to have some positivity on this podcast after everything that's going on, and I needed it. So, and I'm sure a lot of other people did too.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate you, and I'm sure I'll be back on in the near future.
All right, you got it, buddy. Thank you very much.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with Alexandra Levine Live on the America's Pulse Network. You are all in with Alexandra Levine. We are still waiting for someone from the White House to come out and tell us what transpired between President Trump and Vladimir Putin on that call today. We are here live at the White House. We're waiting for White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt to come out and tell us about the updates of today, the call between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, what transpired in that call.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much for watching, and we're going to get into the GoFundMe for Seth Eisenberg, Conservative Corner. Seth is still struggling with health issues. You see him on Sundays. You see his face. He's getting there. He's getting better. I mean, he still has the fight that he's putting on there, going on this podcast. Everything that he's dealt with and he's currently still going through to still get back into the game, and he's back with the podcast, and he's out there giving people the information, telling everybody what the news is and talking about just facts and letting everybody know he cares. He really wants to. He wants better for everybody. He wants better for himself, obviously, as well. But he's been struggling hard. So that GoFundMe there for Seth, it's important. And I know he hates it. He hates the fact that he's got to ask people for money because he's not. We're asking for him. Seth is a very proud guy, and he doesn't like it. But we keep telling him he needs it because he does. And it's just he's got to let that go, and he never will because he's a proud guy. He's a Navy veteran. And that's just who he is. And I like that about him, too. But sometimes when people, are too proud to ask for the help, some people have to ask for them. Because I actually have a GoFundMe for my sister, too, a stage 4 breast cancer. But you'll see that if you follow me as well. But she's doing well with that. But everyone hates asking people for money. It's like when I ran for Congress. I hated asking people to donate to my campaign. I hated it. Because nobody wants to ask people for money, especially in today, you don't know how the economy's going. You don't know what's going to happen. Talking with Joe Lombardi, great guest, and I wasn't lying when I said he was a breath of fresh air. Just hearing some positivity, some good stuff. I needed that. I hope you guys needed that. But so does Seth. So does a lot of people. But sometimes you just have to, let God say, and trust in other people that are going to help out and be that person yourself that is willing to help other people. Like I said, I hate asking anybody for anything. I want to do it myself. Seth's like that too. My sister's like that too, but she has stage 4 metastatic breast cancer and she has to go for this treatment down in Florida, but we can get into that later. This is for Seth, the podcaster. So I got other people helping her out as well, but it's not just about me helping my sister or Seth, but it's for you out there too. If you know somebody that needs help, truly needs it, and they're not there's somebody that doesn't really want to ask for it, and if they don't want to ask for it, that tells you right there that they're probably the right person to help. Yeah, because it tells you right there they're genuine. And anybody that that needs help, you can post something in the comment section. I'm always willing to help out people if it's true and genuine. I mean, that's what we should do as Americans, help people that need it. And I didn't even think I was going to go here with this after that, but I'm kind of in a good mood after that episode. But just I want to tie it into our entitlement programs, and welfare and all that stuff. We didn't have that back in the day. When you were part of a community or part of a church or anything like that, when people needed help, people would take up a collection for each other. Everyone knew each other, and they knew that person really needed help. They knew they weren't scamming them. They knew they weren't filing false, claims for welfare or anything like that. But the community got together and helped them out because it was a temporary thing. Well, most times it was a temporary thing to get them back on their feet, and that's what we all should do for each other. And that is a very great and positive thing. It's just that there's always going to be negative people out there trying to scam you and steal your money, and we all want to stay away from that, obviously. But I'm willing to help out a great cause, and I thank anybody else that is willing to help out Seth. I mean, he's truly a great guy. He really is. There's nothing bad I can say about him. Other than the fact that he calls me the enforcer or the hammer sometimes, but it's funny. But other than that, there's Seth. So his podcast is every Sunday at 7 p.m. And then obviously my podcasts are Mondays and Fridays at 8 p.m. And I have the radio show on Thursdays from 5 to 6 p.m. on Cruise 92.1 WVLT, which does get aired on my podcast on Fridays first, and then I'll come on afterwards to clean up the week, and we'll do our loser and our patriot. And then you have Alexander Levine Live, who is Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. And Alexander will have Joe Lombardi on tomorrow, so make sure you check her out. He'll be on for a little with her. I'm sure he's going to have more information to give you guys, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's on Seth's coming up in one of his episodes. But thank you all for joining me tonight. Thank you, Joe, for joining me. Look Joe up, Joe Lombardi, I keep saying it wrong, IronHawkFinancial.com. It seems like a great guy. I can't wait to have him on again. And we will continue to keep bringing you news. Watch the Pulse on Wednesdays, too. I almost forgot about that with everything going on. We're going to extensively talk about these riots that are going on in L.A. And like I said before, I'm from Philly. I remember the BLM riots and everything else. And I just talked to my buddy for the podcast. He said it's happening again. And where we lived, we're right in the heart of Philadelphia, right by Center City. And he said they're going crazy in Philly already. I'm like, oh, man. So I won't be surprised if I get a call from him and, then maybe wants to send his son and his wife over here. That's unfortunately, I do that during the BLM riots. And these are even worse from what I've seen. So hopefully it doesn't get that bad. Hopefully we just squash this stuff and it goes away. But we have to stand up and do something about it. We have to not worry about hurting people's feelings. It's not about your feelings. This is an invasion of people that hate our country. Anyone that walks onto our land and burns our flag, takes our money. I mean, think about it. And I'm going to let you go after this because I don't want to go back into a negative mood. But think about it. Anybody that wants to come to our country, they come here. It costs us a lot of money, taxpayers. They go on the welfare system. We have to pay for them to live here. We have to pay to get rid of them. We have to pay their court costs, attorney fees. It all comes from taxpayer dollars. And we said earlier, $36 trillion in debt. Going to be like probably 40 trillion plus in debt after this. It's not sustainable. And then they're going to come here and basically steal from us. And the government's handing it to them. Democrats basically actually are. They're going to steal from us and then burn everything that we've built as a nation. And spit and step and burn on our flag and wave the flags of the countries that they said that they were leaving because they're leaving a horrible country because they were persecuting them. They're seeking asylum here. I mean, come on, people, we have to get with it. And I know my listeners out there, you know what it is, but it's inform other people, try to sway other people. But when it comes down to it, we have to just say, no, we're not doing this anymore. So number one, it's try to do it the right way. Vote these radical left Democrats out like Gavin Newsom. I mean, that guy, oh my God. Blaming it on Trump, and then we don't need any help. His city's burning down. His state is burning down. It's like, really? So that's number one. Vote these people out. Number two, if they keep destroying what we built, and we're technically at war, then you really have to stand up and do what it is. Imagine someone coming to your front doorstep, kicking your door and saying, you have to pay for me to live here, take care of me. And then after you're done doing that, I'm going to burn your house down because I hate you. You're an American. I hate your home. And then move on to the next one. Just think about it that way. And with that, I don't want to get into any more negative stuff. It was a very positive interview with Joe Lombardi. But thank you all for joining tonight. Appreciate it. And I check out Alexandra tomorrow, and I'll see you guys again on the Pulse on Wednesday. So as always, stay alert, stay involved, and stay Jersey Shore.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.